Us? So you're both right. Okay. Reuven called me, Jimmy called me, said that there was a tragedy that happened in Mexico. I'm not familiar with the story of a close friend of all of yours, right? That's I guess why you're all here. The name is
Shimon
Ben
Benlolo.
That's his last name.
What's brother's first name?
Shimon Ben Shalom. So, and he was how old?
38, 39?
39, 40. So there is it's a very tragic story, you know, that someone in such a short age of his life passes away. And it doesn't matter what the circumstance, why, and whatever it is, but we have to be pained. We have to feel the tsar. The Torah tells us that any person who hears a sorrow and is not pained by the sorrow, by the tragic news, he puts his own life in danger. Right? Shows he has it shows bad character, right? You hear such a tragic news, it doesn't affect you, you're immune to it. So it shows that we don't have value for life. Okay, so what? The guy died, big deal. But when such a huge show up of people that want to do something for him, and they know, what can you do for a niftar? There's not too much you can do. What can you do for him? Right? Putting flowers on the grave doesn't do anything. What does something? Coming and doing something for the niftar. Right? The body decays. There's not the body is just a piece of clothing. It's nothing. What has meaning is the soul. The soul is forever, never dies. The soul never dies. So what is another thing which is eternal? Studying the Torah. When a person studies Torah, it elevates the soul. It elevates the soul. Kaddish is something everybody knows. Kaddish, to say Kaddish, right? But Kaddish is a very small thing that elevates the soul. What elevates the soul even more than Kaddish, where there's no limit for the elevation of the soul, is the study of Torah. And we say it every day in Tefillah. We say it in Tefillah. The Siddur says, Mishnah and Bechorot, it says, in Peah, it says that Elu advarim she'en lehem shiur. These are the items which don't have any limit, right? And these are the whole list of mitzvot that have really no limit. A person can give as much as he wants, right? There's no shiur, she'en lehem shiur. Hapeah, bikurim, v'arayon. And then the Mishnah goes and continues and says, Ve'elu dvarim she'adam oseh otam ba'olam hazeh. These are the things that a person does in this world. Ve'ochel miperotehem ba'olam haba. And he can eat from the fruits in the world to come. V'iluhen. What are these things? Kibud ava'em, honoring your father and mother. It's a very big mitzvah. It's very difficult, right? To listen to all the time to your parents, right? The Torah promises long life if you do, right? Very difficult to listen to your parents, especially they come from Morocco, right, or from the Middle East, and you're born in Toronto. It's very difficult to listen to your parents, right? But, right, it's a big mitzvah. It's huge, right? There was a rabbi in the Gemara. His name was Abaye. He was an orphan, no father and no mother. Right, and they died at a young age, and he was walking around so happy all the time. All the time, his rabbi said, "Why so happy?" He goes, "Because I'm exempt. No, I don't have to worry about kibud avim. Baruch Hashem." All right, it's a very hard mitzvah to do kibud avim, but the Torah promises long life, and it's a very big mitzvah. We know. Gimlut chasadim, doing kind acts of kindness, very very big, right? Maybe somebody goes out, buys food for the niftar, to make brachot. Each bracha is a mitzvah. Each blessing is a mitzvah. A lot of big things, right? Chesed, to do kindness, right? To help a person financially, help a person emotionally, go and visit the sick. All of these mitzvot, chasadim, bikur cholim, achnas torchim, inviting guests over, feeding them, giving to the poor. Amazing mitzvot, right? But if I told you all day long, how many mitzvot, go and do mitzvot all day long. Let's say a person wakes up at 7 o'clock in the morning, and he doesn't stop. He goes and he does mitzvot, mitzvah after mitzvah. He goes and visits the sick. He goes to St. Mike's. Then he goes to Mount Sinai. Then he goes to Princess Margaret. He goes hospital to hospital, right? Non-stop mitzvot, non-stop. How many can a person do? 50, 60, 100, 200, 300? How much can you do? You're limited. But the Mishnah says, V'talmud Torah, the study of Torah, is keneged kulam. If you take all the mitzvot in the Torah, how many mitzvot are there in the Torah? 613. 613. And you pack them all, one word of Torah study, you've done the same thing. That's amazing. It's something you can't do anywhere else. You can't achieve that credit anywhere else. You can't. Keneged kulam. Now let's just take on the side. 613 mitzvot. If a person today wants to do all of the Torah, can he do all the Torah?
No.
He can't. Why? A lot of the mitzvot were only applicable in Israel. Right? That's not very good. That's the first thing. So we're in Toronto. We already lose a good 100, 150, maybe 200 mitzvot right there. A lot of the mitzvot are only applicable during the time of the temple. Sacrifices and all these things we don't have today. So again, we lose another 100, 150 out. A lot of them are applicable only if you do in certain situations in life, right? If a person dies, there's a mitzvah to bury the person. If a person there's a mitzvah to get divorced, but we don't see all of us going out and saying, I want to do a mitzvah today, I'm going to divorce my wife. Right? So it's only in a certain circumstance, it's one of the 613 mitzvot, right? That if you want to divorce your wife, to write her a certificate of release, right? That is one of the 613, but we don't all do it. Some of the mitzvot apply to an almana, a widow, right? A woman who's a widow. Chalitza, these are mitzvot which are not practical for every single person in his life. Not everybody is born in that setting. Not everybody has parents which are divorced. Not everybody can do another 100 of those mitzvot. Some mitzvot are also applicable only to kohanim, and not everybody's a kohen. Some mitzvot are only applicable to Leviim, right? Some mitzvot are only applicable if you're poor. Some mitzvot are only applicable if you're rich. Some mitzvot are only applicable if you own a house. You can do the mitzvah if you're a builder, or if you own a house, or if you own a field, you own a vineyard, right? So many mitzvot are not applicable. How many mitzvot can a person possibly do today from the whole Torah? Not a lot. Not a lot. Maybe even less than 100. That's it. From all of the 613 mitzvot. So the only thing that we could do which capitalizes on our time and what we have don't have too much time, is to go ahead and to study Torah. And that's why you see there's a big emphasis, more than anything else in the entire, in our religion, than studying Torah. That's the biggest emphasis. Every second, in 1 word, 2 words, 3 words, we've already gone 613 mitzvot for every word. Plus, if a person does it when he's happy, the Moran Achida says, Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulai, says you multiply it by 100. Plus, if a person learns on Shabbat, it's multiplied by 100. Plus, if a person is tired, he doesn't want to learn, because it's too tired, he ate a big meal, he wants to go to sleep, and he goes and pushes himself, and he times another 100. 613 for every single word. So imagine the calculation is, you get into the millions and millions for just studying Torah. And that's all of those. So if a person knew that, you wouldn't let it go so easily. And say, well, I'll give him all my schar. But tonight, we're all coming together, even women, right? We're coming all together. Unbelievable. This is what friends are. This is a true friend. I can't say this is mamash. If there's a friendship that I can say that you really love your friend, right? Wow. This is all the studying that you're doing. Imagine you've taken all the mitzvot that you've ever done, right? Put them inside your pocket. It will not come to a single, you can't even surface to 1 hour that we're going to study tonight, an hour, whatever it is, that we're going to study tonight for his Ilu Neshama, that his soul should go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. So, you wouldn't give it up that easily. Say, well, you know what? He's a good friend, but he's not that great of a friend. You know what I mean? Like a person, let's say that you have $1 million. How much would you give? Would you give him $1 million right now? Well, $1 million is a lot. Schar, we're giving millions and millions, infinite, your cash in Olam Haba. We're saying all of this is going for him. Can you imagine what Nachat Ruach that does for the Niftar? Right? And of course, we ourselves will want it the same for us. If we all of a sudden pass away, chas v'shalom, when we want people to come tonight like this, what a schut, what a merit. Can you imagine what merit this person must have to have friends that would come tonight to study and learn Torah for his schut? That takes a lot. He must have made an impression on every single one of you, a big impression in a very good way. Not in a, in a very chashuva way that it was enough to push a person to come and study Torah for his merit. Amazing. That's a true friend. The Pirkei Avot says that what is love? What is love? In Hebrew, the word love is spelled Aleph, Hey, Bet, Hey. Ahava. Ahava means to love. Now what is love? What is love? Love, Rav Dessler says, comes from the Aramaic word, the root word hav, to give. And if a person says, I love fishing, I love fish, right? Now, let's understand what his definition of love is. He goes to rents a boat, right? Pays money to rent a boat, gets good equipment, right? I'm not saying anything wrong with fishing, right? He rents a boat, he goes deep into the ocean with all of his fishing gear, and he goes and he puts bait on his rod, catches the fish, right? And then he rips off the fish from the thing, right? Gives it a knock on the head, skins it, right? Cuts it into pieces and throws it on the fire. Is that really a fish lover, right? No, it's a person who loves how he himself feels when he eats the fish. That's what it is. If you really love the fish, you wouldn't touch it. You'd keep it in the ocean. Maybe you'd feed it, right? That's a person who loves, have to give. Same is true in a personal relationship. Some people have a relationship, but it's the same thing. Don't have to explain. It's self-explanatory. It's a personal, right? The whole relationship evolves around the person himself. I like how I feel, how the comments that this person makes when he sees me. He says, "How are you?" He gives me a pat on the back. He asks me if I'm okay, if I want something to eat. He makes me feel good. So I like that feeling. Myself, it's a selfish feeling. But if you really love the person, you won't just take from him. You'd give to him, right? Giving, the more a person gives, causes a natural sense of love. This is the greatest giving you can do for the niftar, right? If you never gave to him when he was alive, this shiur, studying Torah and connecting to Torah, making an effort to connect to the Torah more than once, is the greatest form of giving, the greatest form of love. The Pirkei Avot also tells us that there were two. The Pirkei Avot defines what is love. What is love? He says, love, kol ha'ava hatulia b'davar, any love which is contingent on something, it depends on something. I love somebody, I love this woman because she looks beautiful. I love this person because he's got a lot of money. I love this guy, right? Whatever, there's a condition. So once that condition is gone, right, the love is gone, right? The person all of a sudden doesn't look beautiful anymore. Yeah, well, you know what? Maybe it's not the greatest date, it's not the greatest shidduch, and then I'll find somebody else, right? So because your love is dependent on something. So that as soon as that whatever it is it's dependent on is gone, right? So is the love. But love which is not dependent on anything, it's not contingent on anything, right? The love lasts forever. It's a relationship will last. We see it around us ourselves, right? People that have relationships, right? Whether it's friend to friend, whether it's husband and wife, and it's dependent on something, right? You marry because of the money, you marry because of the looks. So a person, as he continues and he goes through life, he sees that once those things that he married for deteriorate, because Shlomo Melech tells us, King Solomon, right, who was the smartest, wisest of all people, he says that the sheker achen, the beauty is all false. The hevel hayofi, right? Splendor and beauty are all false. Isha yirat Hashem, a woman who's God-fearing, that's who you have to look for. That's who you have to look for. I'm telling you, I have 1,000 wives. 1,000 wives he had, 1,000. 1,000 wives. He says, sheker achen b'lav hayofi. We look at him and say, you're a king, Solomon, you have the richest of all the riches, you have all the money in the world, right? Find yourself a pretty woman. No. That's not what I'm looking for. Thanks, but no thanks. The wisest of all wise, he had the chokhmah, he could do miracles, he had all the wealth, armies, golds, whatever you can imagine. He could have had the most beautiful voice. Sheker achen, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Yirat Hashem, a woman who's God-fearing. Because then the relationship will last forever. You can have a short-term relationship or you can have a long-term relationship. What does it depend on? If it's contingent on something. The Pirkei Avot gives us a mashal, and not a mashal, but rather tells us, I'm going to dictate to you who is a pair of people where the love towards each other is not contingent on anything.
Children.
Right? No. It could be, but the Gemara doesn't tell us that. The Mishnah does not offer that. And it doesn't say there's more than one case. It tells us one case, only one case. What's the case? Who is the only one, it seems, from the Mishnah at least, there's only one couple, let's call them a couple, let's call them two friends, that their love was baseless. It was not dependent on anything. They loved each other just for the sake of love. Nothing else. Who is that?